Guys, so in this video today, I'm gonna teach you how to get fucking rich. Now it's very, very simple in today's day and age. Now with me, I'm only 20 years old. I'm in Miami and I'm making anywhere roughly between 80 to 100K a month, just at the age of 20 years old. Now, it's not that crazy. I don't really think it's that much of a success, to be completely straight with you. Now, how we're going to get to the point where you guys are in my position and make the money I'm making at this age, right, is taking fucking action. Now, how you're gonna actually get fucking rich would be providing some sort of fucking service. So you guys gotta find a service that people actually need. Now this is one way. There's also, different ways, with e-com, and there's crypto, and there's a whole bunch of that other shit, right? Which works. But let's say you wanted to sell a service for, a certain amount of money. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna set up a table. Guys, so like I was saying before, you guys are gonna sell a service. That's what we're going to do. Now, what are the 4 pillars of creating a successful service that you guys can set up correctly so you can actually sell it, all right? So the first thing to this, selling a service, is we have to have a system, right, to get people through the door so we can actually speak to them. This could be an acquisition system. So acquisition system. I don't really know how to spell acquisition, so I'm gonna put A, acquisition system. Now with that, that is gonna produce you meetings. A meeting could be anywhere. Now it could be in person, yeah, but that's kind of low leverage, right? You'd wanna do something online. So you need to create a system, an acquisition system, to get those meetings through the door. So that could be maybe cold calling or cold email or whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't really matter. Now, this acquisition system can produce us meetings, all right? But for these meetings, for us to take them, right, we have to make sure these people actually fucking show up. So to make sure these people show up, right, we have to have something that is going to remind them to actually get on this meeting. So that could be SMS, email. It could be a whole bunch of different shit to get these people to show up to the call, maybe a VSL, something like that, okay? Super important. Third, right, to this is actually sales. So you guys actually have to, basically run the fucking sales calls, learn how to close. So actually taking the sale, collecting the money, right? And then finally, right, is service delivery. Service delivery, okay? This is a big one. Most people neglect this, right? But service delivery is probably one of the most important things that you guys can do. The reason is, because if you dial this shit in right here, right, all this will become so easy. So easy, because you're gonna have testimonials, you're gonna have referrals. Imagine a company that you are so fucking good at your service, you don't even have to have an acquisition system. All of it comes from referrals because your service delivery is so good. So this is a big point here that a lot of people neglect, right? They make their service ass, or it's not good, and that's where you deal with fucking disputes and people churning and all that crap, right? So you want to make your service good. But I mean, if you do have enough volume from here and the service is mid, it still can work. But at the end of the day, what do we want here? We want a good fucking service. So this is how you start a service, I guess we call it based business. This is kind of the fundamentals of that. All right, now obviously there's gonna be small systems in here that kind of go down, kind of the tree branch, same with service delivery, but this is the general fucking gist. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna break down every single fucking one on how to build this out very, very easily. Now I explained it a little bit, not too much, okay? So first off, we need a system. So basically we need, an acquisition system to get these people through the door on an actual meeting. Now this could be maybe emails or fucking cold calls. Cold calls, you could be running ads. Super important that you guys do that. It's actually a very smart idea. This is what is gonna produce you the meetings. Now with this, you have to have a good script. You have to be able to actually get this person on the call. This is so important. How do you actually do this? We have to craft an offer. We have to craft something that is gonna be for the market that the market actually needs. For instance, Facebook ads now isn't gonna be the same selling point as you sold it in 2018. You're gonna have to make adjustments to, what you're actually pitching these people and the service you're providing. Right? Now AI is a huge fucking thing most people don't do. So when you're offering, right, when you're sending out your cold emails, you're doing your cold calls and shit, you have to differentiate yourself. There's no differentiation if you're not changing the way you do things from other people. You're just gonna look like everybody else. You're not gonna get super far. So emails, cold calls, ads, what do we have to add to this? Cold calls, ads, right? Bam. Now with this, you have to produce an offer. Now your offer is gonna be so simple. Include AI into it, right? So you guys are gonna be talking about AI, all the new shit, because everybody knows if you guys aren't using AI in your business, you're going to get left in the dust. It's literally insane how good AI is. So you guys gotta use AI to your fucking advantage and make sure your offer, basically is gonna solve the problem. So look at a problem in a business. Let's just take, for instance, roofing. A problem these roofers deal with is they're talking to homeowners that aren't actually serious buyers, right? They're not serious leads. So what we're gonna do, right, is we're gonna bring leads through the door to them that are qualified homeowners that are actually ready to put on a new roof. Right? They're pitchable. You can actually close a sale from these people. If you go to someone's house, let's just say a roofer, and the homeowner isn't there, it's not the decision maker, or these people, you know, aren't really looking for a new roof, that's not the type of person you want to give this roofer. You want to give them a warm, qualified lead. So your offer has to make sense with that, and kind of there's a little dip in their market where they're like, well, I'm getting leads from these other people, but the leads are shit and they're time wasters. Well, I come in, I'm like, hey, well, we figured out a system through AI to actually qualify these people and make sure they're ready to buy right when you get to the door. So that's a very good offer. Now that's acquisition. A little downplay that, okay? Acquisition system. Show up rate. So fucking important. You guys booking all these meetings but no one shows up, what's the point? So show up rate. Number 2, how are you gonna increase the show up rate here? And this is how you're actually gonna get fucking rich. Because if you guys can get these on the call, you guys can get these people on the call and you're a good closer, it's game over. You're making fucking money, right? Money. So show up rate. How do we get the show up rate up, right? Emails, email reminders, text, call, VSL, video sales letter, right? Testimonials, news sites. There's so much things that you guys can do here to increase your show up rate. Also, this goes into the script, this goes into acquisition, because if you guys are on this call and you sound like shit, you don't have a good attitude, you're not confident in your speech, you don't have conviction, you don't have confidence, well, these people aren't gonna take you serious, right? People are getting on these calls and they buy from people that are respected, not that they like. I used to think it was people buy from someone that they like, kinda, but it most has to do with respect. If I, like, let's say, you know, with Andrew Tate, for example, right? Do I like Andrew Tate? Yes, but I respect him. Therefore, I will buy from him. Respect is a big thing here. And if you guys can actually show that, right, on the actual call that you're doing to book these people in, or the email, or whatever the fuck it is, it's gonna be so simple for, you know, to get these guys to actually show up. And people love talking about themselves too. So, you know, make conversation. Don't just read directly off the script and sound like a fucking robot. That's not gonna help. Or you guys have to be a normal human, have a conversation, but still use sales in the process. So this is how you're gonna make your show up rate good. Now this service-based business, guys, it's so fucking easy to do. All it does is it takes fucking volume. Let's say you have 10 calls a day. Let's just take 10 calls a day, your show up rate shit. You have 5 actual real sales calls, 5 times 6 days a week. I mean, Sundays don't really count because those are kind of off days sometimes, and you know, you don't really get a good metric from that. But let's just say, you know, 6 days a week, five calls a week, okay? It's 30 calls. Let's say your closing rate is completely dog ass and it's fucking 10%. I closed 3 deals at 3K. Bam, that's 9K in a week. It's so fucking easy. You guys have no fucking idea when you re-engineer the math. You have the right system in place. Now third, what is that? Sales. Actually closing the fucking deal. Your sales call. Sales is so fucking important. If we're not good at sales, how are we gonna collect the cash? Right? How are we gonna collect it? Now in the sales call, there's a few different things you guys gotta go through. You gotta go through hell, right? Where they're currently at. Bridges. What's gonna get them to their fucking goal, right? And then you say their goal, right? And the fuel that is actually going to fucking basically light up their goal where they're like super, you know, want to get into this shit. So you gotta, you know, basically ask them questions to understand where they're at and the shitty situation they're in, what's gonna help them get there, the goal, right? Where they actually want to get to, and the fuel that is gonna, you know, basically give them the motivation to fucking achieve this goal. Now obviously through that, you may go through a presentation and show them everything. Then obviously it comes to pitching, right? And then objection handling. And we all know how that kind of goes, right? Now I could explain on this call, or I could explain on this video for fucking hours about sales, but you guys can easily find a framework and close anybody. Easily. It doesn't really have to do much about your script. It's how confident are you on the phone and can you actually articulate yourself in a certain way where you can get these people to do whatever you want, right? And to think how you want, right? So then you might go into your presentation, right? Presentation. And then from your presentation, you're going to the pitch, right? Very important, the pitch. And then, you know, they'll close, right? But, you know, if they're got questions, whatever the fuck it is, right? You do your objections. I'll just put OBJ, objection handling. And then obviously you go for the sale and you fucking close. Okay? Most important, service delivery. Now in your service delivery, right, there's a few things you guys gotta do after you close the deal. You gotta make these people feel comfortable. There's an onboarding process that is seamless, super easy for them to follow, and where your service gets up in the next few days. Unless your service is fucking crazy, like some crazy software or some shit, then it might take a while. But ideally, you know, if you guys are running typical ads or whatever the fuck you're doing for a service-based business, it should not take you over a week to set this up. It should be so fast. I can get ads up in Sonic Client and get ads up in fucking 2 days, right? So service delivery, main thing, speed. Get the shit up and running ASAP. Second to that, you guys have to have good client communication, a system that's for that. Personally, I don't really like Slack or, you know, these other softwares. I like to just use WhatsApp Business. It's so simple just to text my clients. They think it's simple, I think it's simple. So you gotta have some form of good communication that they feel comfortable. Fourth, what would be good is obviously making onboarding like pretty easy, right? And then obviously, you know, launching the fucking ads, right? Running the service delivery. And now every single week, you guys should be checking up with your clients. You guys should be optimizing the ads. You should be changing the shit around, because if you're not actively looking at the ads and what needs to be improved, then how are you gonna make sure the results and the outcomes, right, actually, go with your guarantee or whatever you're fucking guaranteeing them or whatever you said you're gonna do. So it's so important that you guys set all this up correctly so that your service actually runs very smoothly. So in the onboarding process, if you have to teach the client how to fucking call their leads or follow up with them and all this shit, you better make sure they have that drilled in their head and they know what they're doing. So actually running the service, right, with ads, and then optimizing everything, right? Making things better, having check-in calls with your clients every single week, because it's gonna be a relationship, right? If your guys' relationship with your clients aren't good, it just doesn't look good and they're gonna end up churning, right? With me, there has been clients when I first started, now I'm very, very good at service delivery now, but there was clients that would literally just stick with me because they liked me so much, right? And they respected me so much because of how hard I fucking worked. I proved that to them and I showed them that, right? And now my service delivery is a lot better and I'm chilling. But for example, there was guys that I would get shit results for, but my relationship with them was so good and I was such a likable person that they just loved paying me every month. I feel like sometimes there was guys that literally just paid to talk to me over the phone for an hour. That's how good you have to get at your client communication, how good you are with these clients, because that's gonna lead to other opportunities. Where is that gonna lead to? It's gonna lead to referrals. What if you guys had a business, like I said before, that was all off referrals? You didn't even have to do any fucking outreach method. And the sales, the acquisition, the sales is basically crossed off. All you have to do is onboard this person and run the service, and it is so fucking simple. This is how you guys are gonna get fucking rich in 2025 the fastest way possible. We literally have guys that are 18, 19, 20 years old making $10, $20, $30,000 in their first 30 to 60 days in business because they have the right system in place and they apply volume. Every single time volume, right, is gonna basically negate your fucking luck. Down here, the more volume you have, the more luck you're gonna have at actually closing a fucking deal. Right? The more volume you have, let's say you have 10 sales calls a day, you take all 10, you're gonna have a higher chance of closing a $3,000 deal. So it's just all volume. That's literally all it is. And if you can apply that, you can fucking work hard and just pick your balls up for a second and be like, nah, I'm gonna go get this shit, right? Then you guys are gonna make thousands of dollars. If I send out 2,000 emails every single fucking day, and let's just say with those 2,000 emails, I get 50 positive replies. Those 50 positive replies, let's just say I book in 10 people a day, 6 days a week. Let's just say the show up rate is half. So like 5 people show up 6 days a week. I already went through the math, in this video, but I just want you guys to know how easy it is to actually fucking achieve your goals. That's 5 calls a week, it's 9K again in a week, 9K a week. And there's no reason you guys can't achieve this. It is so fucking easy to make money nowadays. There's not a single day I don't go about that I make money every single day regardless. It's thousands of dollars. And you guys can too if you just apply the right systems, you take fucking action, and you listen to me, Marco Kiwa, that's actually gonna teach you how to do this shit. And that's why I was actually able to be up here in a fucking penthouse, like this is an actual penthouse, at just 20 years old. And no college degree, nothing like that, barely graduated high school. It doesn't take a genius to figure this shit out. It really does not. You just have to have some grit, some tenacity, right? And also a good mindset, and you're gonna achieve everything you ever want. But yeah, it's basically how you guys are gonna get rich in fucking 2025. And then, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.